1762, London. The Baring brothers found a bank. Over the next 233 years, that bank finances wars, colonies, and entire empires. The money of the British Crown flows through it. It survives the Napoleonic Wars, 2 World Wars, and the Great Depression. It is known as the oldest and most respected merchant bank in the world. Among its clients, Queen Elizabeth II. 1995, Singapore. One man, 28 years old, the son of a plasterer from a working-class neighborhood in North London. No connections, no famous name, no university degree. In less than 2 years, this man destroyed the bank completely. No weapons, no accomplices, not a single shot fired. Just sitting at a trading terminal, staring at a screen and pressing buttons. Total damage, £827 million, more than the entire capital of the bank. ING bought Barings for £1 symbolic pound. £1. His name was Nick Leeson, and this is a true story.
I hit my head on the back of the seat and broke my nose. Everybody else was all right because they were wearing their seatbelts.
Nick Leeson grew up in Watford, an ordinary suburb north of London, where people don't normally dream of careers in investment banking. His father was a plasterer, his mother a homemaker. No connections, no privilege. But Nick had something no university could teach. He knew how to make an impression. He knew how to speak so that people believed every word. He could sense what a person wanted to hear and say exactly that. In a financial world where confidence is worth more than competence, that's a talent. In the late 80s, he gets a job as a clerk at Barings Bank, the very bottom. Paperwork, documents, reconciling accounts. Boring work that nobody wants. But this is exactly where Nick gets something no Oxford graduate has. He understands how a bank works from the inside. Not the theory, the mechanics. When chaos breaks out in the bank's Jakarta office, hundreds of unprocessed share certificates, a mess everyone else runs from, Nick gets sent to sort it out. He goes. He sorts it out. He comes back with a reputation as the man who solves what others avoid. The next step, Singapore. General manager of the trading floor at the Cymex Exchange. He's 25 years old. Just married Lisa. Bright, energetic, head over heels for him and for this new life on the other side of the world. An apartment above the city, parties with colleagues, the feeling that the whole world is at his feet. He doesn't yet know that this is exactly where his downfall begins, and that the fall will be so complete the entire financial world will remember his name forever.
Initial margin's like a down payment on each futures contract that we trade. Now, we don't have to pay that in full until a contract matures.
To understand what Nick Leeson did, you need to grasp one simple thing. Futures are contracts about the future. You place a bet. Will the market go up or down? If you're right, you make money. If you're wrong, you lose it. On the Cymex Exchange, they traded futures on the Japanese Nikkei index. It's a massive, liquid market. Billions move through it every day. Nick's first year in Singapore is brilliant. The reports to London keep getting better. Profit, profit, more profit. He's praised, promoted, called a star. And here's where something happens that happens to a lot of successful people. He starts believing in his own infallibility. In early 1992, one of the young traders on this team, a girl named Kim, makes a mistake. She enters an order wrong. Instead of buying contracts, she sells them. The loss comes to about £20,000. A small amount for a bank of this size, a normal working error that just needs to be filed and written off. But Nick doesn't file it as an error. He doesn't want the young employee to get a reprimand. He doesn't want London to see bad numbers. He doesn't want to taint his flawless reputation. The girl, unable to bear the weight of it, eventually resigns. Instead, he opens a hidden account. Internal number, 58. In Asian culture, the number 8 is a symbol of luck and prosperity, a fortunate number. Nick hides the loss there, a loss that has already grown, fully intending to trade it back the following week and quietly close the account before anyone notices. This is the first step. Small, almost invisible. 60,000 pounds in a bank with billions in turnover. It's a speck of dust. But that speck of dust will become an avalanche 3 years later that buries everything. The account doesn't close because he can't trade back the loss. The next bet loses too. The loss grows. Nick makes bigger bets, hoping one good move will cover everything. Loses again. Hides it again. Bets again. This is called martingale, a strategy where you double your bet after every loss. In theory, it should work. In practice, it wipes out everyone who tries it. Sooner or later, the money runs out, or the limit does. Nick has neither, because the money isn't his. And then, a lucky break. Through a sharp and coordinated move, Nick and his team managed to secure 4,000 contracts at an extremely attractive price, covering every missed cent. The debt is paid, but not for long.
You've made back all the losses, over $10 million.
What did I tell you? O ye of little faith.
A new year ahead, a so-called clean slate. But almost from the very start of the year, Nick is back asking his secretary to unfreeze that same account with 5/8. On top of that, a new problem looms on the horizon. Auditors are coming to the Singapore office. A routine check, since Nick's numbers from the previous year are enormous, and they're threatening to turn over every stone. But luck is on his side. The specialists are called back, meaning all his hidden issues stay buried. Nick constructs a documentary version of a reality that doesn't exist. He creates a fictitious transaction, supposedly between Barings Singapore and a major Japanese client. On paper, the deal explains the movement of a large sum, £78 million, that London transferred to Singapore and that vanished into the 5/8 account. London regularly sends requests. Nick responds with clean, polished reports where everything adds up and everything is growing. It's a lie from the first figure to the last. Fake trades, forged signatures. He's learned to do this quickly and convincingly because he has no other choice. Here's something important to understand. Barings allowed Nick to control both the trading floor and the back office at the same time. This is a fundamental violation of basic risk management. A trader should never be the one checking his own trades. But the bank did it to save money. They hired cheap staff. They trusted the star. And nobody checked. On the surface, everything is perfect. Nick is the bank's best trader. He's invited to corporate dinners, held up as an example. Lisa is happy. Colleagues are envious. Nobody sees what's happening beneath the surface. And then, a blow nobody saw coming. Lisa has a miscarriage. They lose the baby. For Nick, this isn't just a personal tragedy. It's something bigger. Something inside him stops holding together. Everything he'd been balancing so carefully, the professional facade, the calm at home, the control over the situation, starts crumbling from within. He becomes a different man. One who has nothing left to lose. One who decides, no more careful steps, all in.
Your wife is okay. I'm afraid she's lost a baby.
Nick is back on the trading floor, and he starts doing what every risk management textbook says one thing about. Never. He stops doing arbitrage, the low-risk trades he's paid for. Instead, he opens massive directional positions on the Nikkei, betting on the growth of the Japanese market. Not tens of millions, hundreds, then more. Funding requests from London climbed to $30 million a day. Brenda calls again. Tony Hawes sends a request for an unplanned audit. Nick creates another fictitious trade, this time with forged signatures from both the client and the bank itself. He moves funds from client accounts into his own to show London the money came back. He runs it through the books so the numbers line up. Another audit. Another explanation. Another inspection passed.
I thought you'd like to know the audit's been cleared. Nick got them the paperwork. Everybody's happy.
January 17, 1995. 5:46 in the morning local time, Kobe, Japan. A magnitude 6.9 earthquake. One of the country's largest cities is destroyed in a matter of seconds. Nearly 6,000 people die. Economic damage, $100 billion. The next day, the Japanese stock market Nikkei opens with a sharp drop. Investors are in a panic. Capital is fleeing Asia. Nick holds a massive long position on the Nikkei, meaning he's bet on the market going up. Massive is an understatement. We're talking about a position controlling contracts worth many times the entire capital of Barings. And now the market is falling. Fast. Every point down means another several £1 million of losses on top of what's already hidden in the 5/8 account. Any experienced trader in this situation does one thing: cuts the loss and gets out. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's expensive, but it's the only rational move. Nick does the opposite. He starts buying Nikkei futures in massive volumes, trying to single-handedly reverse the market decline by sheer force of buying. This is madness. One trader cannot move an entire market, but Nick stopped making rational decisions a long time ago. He's trapped in his own scheme, and the only thing he knows how to do is make the next bet. Over the following weeks, he burns through hundreds of millions more. The market doesn't turn. London starts asking increasingly pointed questions. Why does the Singapore office need such enormous sums of cash? Nick keeps inventing explanations. Technical, complex, the kind nobody wants to dig into, afraid of looking incompetent. It works, but not for long.
I just have to keep buying futures like they're going out of style to support the market. I mean, if it sticks around 18,000, then my options are still in the money and I could get the position back.
The next few weeks are agony in slow motion. The Nikkei keeps falling. The losses in the account grow every day. London floods him with requests. Nick responds, improvises, explains, but without the confidence he once had. The losses in the account have crossed £800 million. That's more than the entire shareholder capital of Barings Bank. Technically, the bank is already bankrupt. Only one person in Singapore knows it yet. Nick understands. It's over. Not because he's been caught, but because the math doesn't lie. The hole is so big, no bet in the world can fill it. There's no market move that could save the situation. The game is finished. February 23, 1995. The beginning of the end. Nick asks Lisa to pack her things. She does it without question, without asking a single thing. They leave Singapore, withdrawing everything from their savings account, with no clear plan, no idea where exactly, just away.
Tell me we're not the customer, Nick.
I'm losing you, Ron.
Nick!
While Nick and Lisa fly through Kuala Lumpur, Brunei, and further west, back in London, catastrophe is unfolding. Auditors who have finally been given full access to the real accounts of the Singapore office spend the night at their monitors. The numbers don't add up. They check again. Still don't add up. They request more data. And gradually, the full picture of the fake 5/8 account takes shape before them. One trader, one hidden account. Losses, £827 million. The bank is 233 years old. Capital, 0. Barings Bank is bankrupt. The news breaks in the early hours of February 26th. Financial markets around the world react instantly. Journalists besiege the bank's headquarters on Bishopsgate. Phones go dead. The Bank of England convenes an emergency meeting. Can Barings be saved? The answer, no. Dutch bank ING agrees to take on all assets, all employees, and all liabilities. The price of the deal? £1 sterling. £1. For a bank that's over 2 centuries old. Nick finds out from a phone call by a colleague broker, and only in that moment does the true scale of what has happened fully hit him. Not losses, not a scandal. The end of the bank. The end of everything he knew. At Frankfurt Airport, where they arrive in transit, someone is already waiting. German Federal Police. Handcuffs. Lisa stands beside him and looks at a man she thought she knew.
I'm scared, Lisa.
Extradition to Singapore. Trial. Sentence, 6.5 years in prison. Nick pleads guilty to charges of fraud and deceiving auditors. In Changi Prison, one of the strictest in Southeast Asia, he learns he has colon cancer. Chemotherapy behind bars. Lisa comes at first, then stops, then files for divorce. The world they built together, Singapore, the parties, the sense of endless possibility, disappears completely, as if it never existed. Nick is released early in 1999 on medical grounds, having served just over 4 years. Thin, no money, no job, no wife. Cancer in remission, but not fully beaten. He returns to Britain and starts writing a book. Rogue Trader: How I Brought Down Barings Bank and Shook the Financial World. That's the title of his memoir. The book becomes a bestseller. It's the basis for the film starring Ewan McGregor as Nick. What happens next? Nobody expected. Nick Leeson becomes one of the most in-demand speakers in the world of corporate finance. He's invited to risk management conferences, business forums, universities. He talks about how a small lie becomes a catastrophe, about the psychology of loss, about why smart people make devastatingly bad decisions under pressure. The man who destroyed a 200-year-old bank now makes his living teaching others how not to do what he did. Nick Leeson's story is not the story of a villain. A villain is someone who plans to cause harm from the start. Nick planned nothing. The first step was small, human. He wanted to cover up a young employee's mistake. He wanted to save face. He wanted to seem better than he was. But a small lie has one unchanging quality. It doesn't stay small. It needs to be maintained, covered up. It grows new lies around it. And at some point, the sum of all those small decisions becomes so large, there's no way back. And one more thing that rarely gets talked about in this story. Barings Bank itself created the conditions for the catastrophe. They allowed one man to control both trading and operational accounting at the same time. They didn't check his reports because the numbers looked good. They kept sending him more and more money without asking questions. Greed and naivety on both sides. But it was the bank that paid the price.